Hey, today we're going to talk about in-ear monitors and what they even are and why churches are using them. I went, oh my gosh, this is going to clean up this. This is going to change this. This is going to get our band just tighter because we all hear things better. This is going to just take us to the next level of being the best worship leaders we can be. Yes, welcome.
This is the video where John and Nolan from Red River Leadership show what wood backgrounds look like.
And we're done. Thanks for joining us.
And we're off.
You built that one. You hand built that wall, didn't you?
Yeah, I stripped the trees too.
Oh man.
The great trees were hard to find, but otherwise it was okay.
The great trees. Yeah, we built this one a long time ago too, and it was we're like, oh yeah, wood wall, that won't be hard. And like 3 days later we're like, oh my gosh, but we got really picky and we're trying to, like, you know, stain them different colors, and we like found the wood, so it ended up being just harder than it needed to be. But hey, we got there.
I think people who are much cooler and handier than I, like, just find free planks like that people set out and then stain them. I just got packs of them that I liked and then did them together. But
totally. It's certainly gotten easier. This is like a 7-year-old wall. I think we did it a long time ago. And I mean, that's why it became cool, is because we did it 7 years ago, and then everyone was like, oh my gosh, have you seen that wall?
And then I did it and the fad is over. Now it's lame.
No, the fad is done.
But we're both using it.
Hey, today we're going to talk about in-ear monitors and what they even are and why churches are using them. You know, it's one of those things that years ago we were dealing with just a variety of different stage volume issues. So we just want to jump right into it here, kind of why, at least my story with it, why Good Shepherd moved that direction. You know, we had electric guitar players that were just too loud for the room, and we were always trying to get them quieter and get into the mix cleaner to make sure that we had a nice mix coming out of our mains. We had drums that were just too loud. We had this whole thing. And there was always a couple people in the band that couldn't hear things right because they had to share stage wedges. So do any of these things sound like something you're dealing with, whoever's watching this? Probably. You know, we dealt with a variety of these things, and I asked around what churches were using and did a lot of Google searching, and found in-ear monitors was a solution for this. It takes kind of your wedge speaker, that is your monitor where you're hearing what you need to hear to play, to sing, to do the things you need to do in your band. And it takes that sound, instead of coming out of a speaker, which blasts to the whole room, and it puts it right into an earbud, right into headphones. And it cleans it up. It cleans up your stage volume. And so that was the only reason really we moved to it. And since then, we found that there's tons of reasons to move to it, and a lot of other things you can do with it. And some of those things you're moving to, Nolan. So it'd be fun to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, even before we get there, let's start even further back, because I would imagine that some people who see this will not have any monitors.
Right.
I certainly have been in different bands, different churches that in-ear monitors is a long ways away, but even floor wedges isn't something they use. They just listen to the speakers and come off of there. So just for devil's advocate, what is the reason that you should be at least hearing something other than the main speaker?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah.
Oh, well, for me, it's there's a lot of times where I want to hear, I just need to hear what I need to hear to do what I need to do well. And that's not because I don't like what Electric's doing. It's not because I don't like what the singer sounds like. It's because I only need certain things to do what I need to do well, to be able to play my guitar well, and to be able to make sure that I'm singing in tune and that I can focus on the lyrics and things like that.
Yeah, and if you are only going off the main speakers, there's a delay, first of all, so you're not hearing things in real time. Plus, it's going to be bouncing off the walls. And so, really, you're hearing different timing and everything, and it's just not accurate. And
Right.
so, um, the solution to this is monitoring. And many churches have and bands, you'll professional bands will use wedges, and those are just on the floor, and then a few of those, and you can choose what you want to come out of those. So then the next step would be to have these in-ears, and I don't have them with me right now, but I'll get asked after a worship set many times, like, what are your ears for? And I remember watching these bands that I grew up listening to and loving, that they would sometimes, they get to that, to the chorus part where everybody's singing along and they'd take their ears out. And I'd be like,
Yeah.
what is that for? I never understood what it was for. So this is,
What's he listening to in there?
what is,
Yeah.
how can he be
Yeah.
singing and listening to his favorite jams?
Right.
Doesn't make
Right.
sense. So in-ear monitors, again, is the ability to dial in. So John and I could be right next to each other, and we could be hearing completely different. He wants to hear his voice, the guitar, and a piano, and I want to hear my voice, an electric, and the bass. And we can either have somebody at the soundboard dial that in, or have an app on our phones or an iPad to make those selections, so that we hear exactly what we want to hear to do the best job that we can do leading worship.
Right.
So that was probably unnecessary, but just in case, that is the reason for
No, that's a good explanation. Yeah. And I think, it's good to hear you just say it, because for me, like, I had to experience it and go, oh man, like, I'm hearing so much stuff and so many different just the sounds and the reverbs, if you will, or whatever else is happening in the room, the actual, just the loudness of the room itself. And especially when you're singing, and this is the problem we all want to have, and sometimes we've been able to have it, is when the room is singing so loud and you get just this loud, like, there's just this moment, these things that happen, that it's hard to hear, like, if you're in tune still or not. You trust your muscle memory and things in there, but it's like, you want to have those, you need to have the tool to be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about that, because
I think about The reason I thought about it was the youth gathering we did.
Mhm.
We did this one youth gathering, and it was high school kids, and I think it was at least my first high school youth gathering. I don't know if it was for you, Nolan, or not, but they were singing so loud. Like, we started playing, and their voices were like, "Whoa!" And I mean, I got so fired up, but it made me realize, like, I can't hear anything. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
And the fun part is it's a song that we wrote, so that was super
Right?
neat
Yeah.
to
No
hear
kidding.
that, like, coming back at us. It's like, how do I sing in
Right.
tune? So the in-ear monitors will help drown out the crowd so that you can hear what you need to directly even better. Versus a monitor, like, you can crank the monitor in front of you, but that's still all fight with the people in front of you. So the in-ears
Yep.
kind of dampens as well. So that's kind of
Yep.
another win there.
And in many scenarios, you need to share that monitor with probably 2 or 3 other people. That's how we were set up at Good Shepherd, that 3 of us had to agree on a mix, on a monitor mix. And not 3 musicians, I don't think, ever have the same, like, needs and philosophies and, like, wants for what your mix is that you need to hear. If I'm standing next to Josh playing bass, like, he's going to need to hear his bass nice and loud, and which I love bass. So bass is one of the louder things in my ear usually. It's just kind of foundation for me. But, like, so that wasn't a great example, but like there's some times where just the music just gets too loud and you need to hear other stuff. So anyways, yeah. And not to, we also said a moment ago that it helps drown out like the singing, and so I just want to clarify that I love the singing. Like the singing is probably what fuels me the most. So in all of this, it's not the best example, but just from a practicality standpoint, not an inspirational standpoint, maybe it's just something that's really helped along the way, is
Just
being able to
practical.
keep things
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So then now, after we've talked about why we would want something monitored and why I would want a different mix than John would like, then we start going into some other functions that are wonderful. In some of the newer boards, if the tech team wants to communicate something with us, they have a talk back mic that they can say in the in their microphone at the board and let us know. If it was wedges, everybody would hear it. If you have in-ears, they can talk directly just to the team or just to me and not the rest of the team from the board. And so like,
so if you have a worship leader who probably goes way too long on the ending song and the tech team's like, wrap it up, let's go, man, come on. And I used to, one of our tech guys in the past used to always talk to me and they're like, all right, wrap it up, let's go, you know. But it was always a joke. But anyways.
Or even like your shirt is tucked in on one side and not the other, your
hey, your guitar died. Hey, someone's patch just died, a battery died. Like, hey, after this song, can you go fix what this looks like or sounds like? Or it just gives you, that internal communication.
Your zipper's down. Like that's my
Your zipper's down.
Like, so that would be nice for them to do right in my ears, not the rest of the team, not the congregation, even though everybody already saw it. But just things like that. And then something that we are working on now is, and this is a whole other video, so we're not going to get too far into it now, but click tracks, having click tracks playing. So we have a song and we want to stay on the same tempo so that it connects us all. So we're all jiving and rolling with it and we're all on the beat perfectly. We don't speed up, which is something that I do when I get excited. So we have.
You mean that's a thing, to start a song in the same tempo as you end it? That's crazy.
Yeah, I know it's unheard of for me. So click tracks, you cannot do click tracks with a wedge. You have to have it in ears.
Because the wedge, you'd hear the click. You hear it happening, and in your in-ear it's silent to anyone else other than just the musicians that are playing the music.
And then you could also have loops, which is something that a lot of churches, a lot of bands, world touring bands will have loops, a guitar part that nobody's playing, pads especially. So those are things that the click tracks help with so that they're in time with the song. And then, like I said, I can't go too far into it because this will be a whole nother video. But something that I'm working on is with the click tracks, to have a light show that I would program in that goes along with the time, which needs to be done with clicks. So if I'm on a different chorus and the lights are programmed to a certain amount of time, you can't do that without the in-ears. Or to have it in time so that the screens with the words on it would be automatically programmed in.
Right.
So those are some things that, and we haven't gotten there yet. We're working on it, and but we wouldn't be able to even think about that or have that conversation without having in-ear monitors.
Yep, absolutely. And we had the conversation early on. Is this a luxury? Is this just something that makes things easier? Like, what's the why in investing into this gear, into this new technology? And it's like anything now. I mean, you want the tools you need to do the best worship leading that you can do. And if that means it's investing into a piece of technology that's going to get sound directly into your ears to clean up the room, to clean up your worship experience as a whole, then that's a decision that you have to make, and one that we recommend making. Because we kind of had that question, is it like, again, it's just the luxury versus the practical, like, is this something that, where's the value specifically? Are we having issues week after week because that one instrument's just too loud in the room and we can't clean it up? We can't deliver the best sounding worship that we can as a tech team because something's too loud on stage, or because something's out of our control, because that singer needs to hear like their voice really loud, but then suddenly the whole room changes then because that one singer is coming through their monitor so loud. So again, it's thinking about your specific things and those issues you run into each week, and knowing that this one solution could be your solution for multiple issues that you might not even realize that you're having. And then now it kind of changes the way you look at it and listen to it. And then, so as soon as we kind of learned about in-ears, I went, oh my gosh, this is going to clean up this is going to change this is going to get our band just tighter because we all hear things better. This is going to just take us to the next level of being the best worship leaders we can be.
Yeah, and one of the best reasons for having in-ear monitors, I didn't even mention it, but it cleans up, and we talked a little bit about it, but it cleans up the audio that the congregation is hearing. But if you think about having wedges that are coming at you, it doesn't, even if everybody's just having a balanced mix, it still will be sound that's going in a different direction. So I'm talking here, and then the sound would be coming back, bouncing off the back wall, and then coming back behind you, so that they're hitting you at different times, which just muddies up the sound. And we want as few distractions as possible as worship leaders, as tech teams. We want as few, if not zero, distractions to the congregation, so that they can connect with God, right? That is our job. And so having wedges is a way to distract from what we're working on, what we're creating, just due to sound science. It's science.
And from a technical production standpoint, we'll do a lot of recordings, especially when COVID hit. We went all pre-recorded, but even pre-COVID, we had done recordings in our space because we could have no sound happening in the room and everything directly coming to our ears, and then recording that direct audio on the board. So you're not getting extra echo, extra room noise in your microphone recordings. You're getting just the most direct recording you can get, because the room outside of that is silent. I mean, well, you're going to get your acoustic guitar and your drums hitting the pads, and we have electric kit here for drums. So you'll get some of that stage noise still, but for the most part, it just cleans it up so much for both a production standpoint and an in-person worship standpoint.
Well, cool. I think that we've given our reasons. But let's talk about actual ideas. We're not going to give you every single one that you could do, but just a few that we've run across that we've appreciated. There's kind of two different models to go with. One in-ear is wired, where it's kind of like a leash, and I have definitely several times. All right.
Tethered.
It's like a leash. So wired in-ears, which will be a lot cheaper than wireless, which is the other options, where you can have them, you can run to the bathroom, and you still hear everything that's going on. So if you want to spy on what John is talking about you behind your back, you just wear your in-ears and be like, I'll be right back. And then surprise.
Hey everyone, I gotta leave.
I'm going now.
So there's a few different options, and the starting point with all this is, with the ones that we're going to recommend today, are having that digital soundboard. So if you haven't made that decision to get a digital soundboard, and the cost on all those have come down so much. I mean, when I was first getting in the market for Good Shepherd, it was a big deal, and we had to talk about, okay, this is thousands of dollars to upgrade this stuff. But now the cost has come down. It's still an investment, but it's definitely, it's been good to see that number decreasing over the years. And just the amount of flexibility and options you're going to have with a digital soundboard is huge. Not only is it going to give you this opportunity to use in-ear monitors, but it will also, and there's ways to do it with an analog board, with an older board, but the ones we're going to really talk about today are with a digital board.
Yeah,
if you're going to make the investment anyways, then I'd much rather see you get your foundation set with a nice digital board in your space and then adding in-ears. So this isn't something I would do before making the digital board investment.
Priority wise, you want a nice digital board before you go to in-ears, even though it's also important. And we've had great success with Behringer X32. It's about $2,000. Definitely a lot out there. That is another video that we've done. But that's, just to mention one. We have both used it. Great product, reliable, and gets you into that digital board market.
Yep, it does a great job. And the other thing with the digital board that I just want to name really quick, and this has been in previous videos and will be in many videos down the road, we've been talking about getting direct audio into your live stream. And with the digital board is the best way to do that from what we've seen. You have a lot of control, good flexibility and options with exactly what goes into your live stream or whatever goes into your recording. If you're pre-recording things on a digital board, you can record not only your main output, so whatever you're live mixing is just what you get by the end of that recording, but you can also record every single track on your soundboard individually into an audio software program, and then later after that recording you can go and mix it properly. So that's a part of my workflow here every single week at Good Shepherd. That's something that we do. Our band plays and records, and we record video, and then that's one step of the process, is getting all the video done. And then the step of the process that I'm currently working on is mixing the audio every single week after the recording. So again, different video, but I just wanted to mention that is a big part of using that digital soundboard. Here's I'm gonna show a picture here of the X32 that Nolan talked about, the Behringer X32, and then this will also have some of the in-ear monitors that we will talk about first. All right, do you see that?
Yes.
So yeah, this is the Behringer X32. Behringer. I've heard it pronounced two different ways. Kind of depends what country you're from, it sounds like. But this is the Behringer X32. Great board for what it can do. It does a lot of really good things. And then right beneath that, so those are called Behringer P16s. Those 4 little units there. And what's really unique about these is that each person in your band gets one of these, and they're able to plug their headphones right into the back of that console. And then all these little buttons here are all the ways for them to mix in whatever they want to hear specifically. So whatever they do with their console only affects their earbuds. It doesn't affect anything else in the house. When we were first using these, I had one of our musicians was doing his thing, and then towards the end of the night, I think it was a rehearsal night, he's like, "Oh, I can't really hear this very well, but it's okay." And I was like, "Oh, change it." He's like, "Well, no, I don't. Like, everyone else needs to be able to hear that." And I go, No. This console only affects your ears." So it occurred to me like, oh shoot, he thought that he was affecting everyone else's ears by controlling. He thought they're all tied together. They're all individual in-ear monitor systems that you can do whatever you need to do with.
Yeah, that is great. And I love those. That was kind of my first experience with in-ears. Behringer also makes a unit that doesn't have all the buttons on it, and that's what we've used. And I don't remember the name that's at the top of my head now. So another
if it's
option,
the Behringer one, it's this guy here.
Yes.
At least that's like their newer model. Maybe you've got an older model that you have.
But I think it's just flipped on its head from what I'm used to.
So this is a cheaper solution, wired in. You'll have less flexibility overall. So I'm always going to encourage you to. What I've kind of learned along the way is like, all right, if I'm going to invest into something and spend some money on something, I don't want to spend a little here, a little here, a little here to eventually try to get to where we're going. I'd rather save up those dollars along the way, pull the trigger on something that I know is going to last us a long ways down the road. And we've been using these P16s here for
a long time.
I mean, like you said, since you were here, a long time. And I've had issues with 2 of them, and that's it. And we use them 3-4 times a week for years. So, I mean, overall, I'm very happy with the durability of them. They've been really great. We actually haven't replaced any of them. The issues that we have are pretty minor, and we just kind of figure it out as we go. But eventually, we'll have to replace the 2 of them. They'll keep getting weaker as we go. But and here's a price point for these. And this is a bundle that Sweetwater's running right now. I really like Sweetwater. I also like B&H Photo. Sweetwater's nice, and they send you candy. So we're just gonna let that sink in for a second. But this is a pack here, so you get 4 different ones. So depending on how big your band is, we bought 8 right out of the gate. We typically have a band of 7, and I knew I wanted to have an extra one just because who knows. And then we ended up having a band of 8, and normally we actually use all 8 now. But at the time we were looking at 6 or 7, and yeah. So this is a pack of 4 of these, and then you're going to need this distributor right here. And basically what this does, so how this kind of works is it'll send one cat cable from your X32. One cat cable goes to your P16, your distributor, so on the bottom right now, and then each one of these jacks here. So think of this as an Ethernet switch. If you're techie at all or IT person, kind of, you'll know what I mean there. So basically, it takes one cat cable in, and then it multiplies what that cat cable is doing and what it can do. So it'll send out a cat, then to each one of these gets their own cat cable, and that's it. So you're only running one cat from your board to your distributor, and then the cat cable from your distributor to each of your P16s. So in terms of cable management and cable needs, it's pretty fascinating how all of that information, all of that data, your entire board's inputs and outputs can be communicated like that, can be transferred like that through one cat cable. I don't know why that still just blows my mind, but when I first learned that,
in real time, like it's
in real time,
it's crazy.
And there's probably some people watching going, duh, like that's been a thing for years, but it's still like it's
fascinating.
So so that's kind of how it all connects. And then from there, back to this one here, you can get different headphones. We took a few different approaches with this when we first started. I told people they could obviously bring their own. They could use whatever headphones they want. I invested into some decent ones right off the bat. Not a major investment, but I knew I wanted just clean quality sound. So I wouldn't recommend just your Apple earbuds. Oh my gosh. Now with the AirPods, I'm like
the airport ones, airplane ones.
Right. The ones you get for free on Delta are not going to be the best thing for you to use here. So I would spend a little bit of money on it. And if you can, I would pick up, 8 to 10 of them to have for your musicians, to have them available. We bought a few different brands over the years. There's some off-brand ones that turned out to be incredible value for what they sounded like. This pack here, these come with Westtones, which is pretty cool. I've heard really good things about this brand. I've never actually used them, but I know that they're pretty good quality. I've heard of them before. And then there's these mounting brackets on the bottom. So then these guys can mount to either your music stand. Stop using music stands if you are. But you can either go to your
another video,
stand. John. Your music stand, or you can mount it to your microphone stand or whatever. It can mount to whatever's kind of in your area. I make the joke about music stands because I love the cleanest stage as possible, and musicians that are just staring at your stands all the time. That's such a distraction for me. I'm like, look up, look at the church you're leading right now. Like, oh man, be in the moment.
We'll have to do a video on stage presence here coming up.
Yep, stage presence. That's its own thing. So yeah, anything else you want to add on that one specifically?
No, not that. I've got some in-ears, but let's go to the wireless options, and then we can talk quickly just about DuckDuckGo. That's fun.
DuckDuckGo. Sennheiser IEM. DuckDuckGo is a whole nother video as well. Here we go. So these are the ones Nolan uses and that I use as well. You have the Gen 4s, right?
I've got both Gen 4 and Gen 5.
Oh, Gen 5. Nolan Weiss. We have Gen 3.
Yeah, everything I do, I want to do better than you. So
Yeah. Zoom in on this a little bit. So
yeah.
Nolan, talk about these a little bit.
So just like we were talking earlier, we've got two options for in-ear monitors. One of them is a wired, and that's what we were talking about with the Behringers. And now this is the wireless. So I can't direct, so you'll have to direct with your mouse, but it's just 2 units. The part on the left is the receiver, so that'll be connected to your board, and then your board will send audio to that, and then that will connect to the part on the right. I don't
sorry. I was trying to get my other pointer thing to come up. It didn't work.
And that will connect to a belt or put in a pocket, and then you connect the ears to it, which you can see in the picture. I feel very helpless, John. I can't move your mouse. The body pack that he's almost pointing to on the right.
It's there now. Did it not move?
On my end. Yeah.
Have to click on it?
Yep, there it is.
Oh, there it went. Jeepers.
So that will do the same thing as the wired ones. You just don't have that tether, that leash connected to a stand to the console. So, and the distance that you can travel between them really has to do with a lot of different things. There's different kinds of antennas. There's different kind of, depending on how many different wireless things that are going on. But I have absolutely loved the Sennheisers. There's also Shure's. There's all kinds of different kinds, but I've really enjoyed the Sennheisers.
Yep. Me too. I've only used the Shure's once, well, twice. A venue here in town, Tech Music Venue, has the Shure's, and I've really liked them over there. So I mean, they're both high quality brands.
It's a horse apiece.
Either way. Yeah. Yeah, these are the ones that we've got, Gen 3s. But yeah, these are great. And again, it gives you that flexibility. And the way that these are controlled is different. So you don't have that, all you have on stage is just this little pack that's just attached to your hip. And then your headphone goes into there. So you have overall volume control with that knob on the top, but your mix now is controlled separately. So what we've found that works really well is that these digital soundboards like the X32 that we've talked about has mobile mixing ability, as mobile control, meaning you can be on your phone or on an iPad and you can mix your house audio, your main output audio, but you can also individually mix now these specific outputs that go to each of your Sennheiser or to your in-ear monitors. And so what we have set up is each musician has it on their phone. We use the Behringer P16, but we have 2 or 3 of these that a few of us kind of right up front that want to run around.
Like John was talking, he's got a few different packs that are completely wireless, because if he's moving around and engaging people, and with that happening, to be wired is just it's difficult. You can only go as far as your line goes. So it's super nice to be able to do that. So I just wanted to talk about a few different options as far as in-ears go, what your actual monitors are. I don't have any examples other than my studio headphones. So you can imagine if you were on stage that this would look a little bit awkward if you had these entire, these headphones on it would probably be great monitoring because you hear the full spectrum of the bass and the mids and everything, a lot of bass with these guys. But it would look very awkward and be very distracting. And like we talked about earlier, we do not want to distract from worship. So some options that I would recommend, yes, you can do the ones that you get with your phones. You can do something like that. I'd like to have a little bit better just because it's a little bit more specific with a little bit more specific for worship, for listening to things. Just on Amazon here, I looked up ZSN would be the cheapest route. They're $23, so you're going to get a good in-ear monitor. It's at least a little bit better than just your standard headphones that you get with your phones or whatever. And then I like these KZ brands. I've used them several times. This is what I tell my musicians at Calvary. So you can go all the way up to $80, $90, depending on how often you use them. What changes is the quality of how it's put together, the different amount of drivers, so how many different speakers are in your ears. You can find, not in here, but you can find headphones that have 10 different drivers per ear, which is just crazy. Another company that I've really come to like, and this is what I have, is All Clair. So basically what you would do is look up at how to buy. So you can look through the different models, design what you want, and then you will send in your ears so that they are customized to your ear and yours only. This kind of looks gross here. So that when you put them in, they fit in perfectly, creating a seal for you to hear, for you to have in-ears that are perfectly made for you. So let's just look at a few of these. Monitor shop. So you can go through these and take a look at different things. What I did when I was looking for them is I sent them a message and I said, this is what I'm looking for. This is my price range. What would you suggest? And they got back to me, and I have absolutely loved my All Clairs. If you look through these here, you can see dual driver. That means there's two different speakers in each of your ears. This is triple, so there's 3. We've got 6, 5, 4 here, 10. Oh my goodness, is this really 13? So there's all kinds of companies. You can look them up. I know if John was on here, he would have some suggestions too. But this is just one to look at. You can do your research and make your choice yourself as well. This is just the route that I went with, and I have been very happy. But thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. God bless.